What's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic, and I'm doing another tutorial for soundoracle.net. And in this video, I'm going to show you the brand new plugin called Vocodist by Antares, the same company that makes autotune. I'm going to show you how that works. But first, before you get into that, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date with videos just like this, and you'll get tips and tricks directly in your mobile feed. Also, Oracle and I do have a brand new online course called The Art of Mastering. It has everything that you need to know when it comes to mastering. It has over 75 videos and 9 hours worth of professional techniques for you to be able to apply for your mastering. So I'll put the link in the description below. So let's go ahead and dive into this plugin here. It's new. It's called Vocodist by Autotune here, and it's really cool. If you're like me, I work on a lot of modern music, so this is a plugin that I'm actually going to get a lot of use out of, and I actually already have. I love using stuff like this, but in the same breath, I'm also a big fan of Autotune and Harmony Engine and other plugins too that are similar like this. I like this stuff. It gives me a lot of creative control. If you're more of a, I guess, quote unquote purist and you don't like all this digital sound and stuff, then my question for you is, why are you here, man? Like, why'd you click on the video? Like, this is clearly a video about a vocoder. If you don't like that, you shouldn't have clicked on the video. And if you did click on the video, then you're probably just here to troll people and you like to argue on the internet. Don't click on the video if you don't like this kind of digital sound and vocals. If you like a more natural vocal, go somewhere else on YouTube and find something else to watch. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this. So what I like about this, because there are a lot of vocoders on the market, and I've used quite a few of them, and there's a couple that I do like. I really like Vocosynth by iZotope. I think that's a really dope plugin. Where I think this differs is with it actually has auto-tune built into it. Now, I know a lot of vocoder programs do have pitch control in there that works similar to auto-tune. But why I feel like this differs is because this actually has auto-tune's patented algorithm in there, right? The auto-tune algorithm sounds much different than all the other ones out there. The Waves, Tune Light, or whatever it's called, or there's other ones out there too. The auto-tune one has a different algorithm, and to me, I do feel like auto-tune's the best pitch corrector on the market. That's just my opinion. Don't at me for that. But anyways, so that's one thing that I think that really makes it different, is that it's actually built in. So just like auto-tune, you would choose your input type here. We got our key, we got our scale here, and we actually have some different types of scales that I wish that they would put in Auto-Tune Pro, like harmonic minor. Like I would love to be able to have that right there, like a raised seventh. Like I actually do use harmonic minor quite a bit in tracks. I love how that raised seventh goes into the tonic. It sounds awesome to me, really sinister. So anyways, totally got off topic in there, but yeah, that's one thing that's really cool. And we also have some familiar auto-tune settings over here that we're used to. Retune speed, just like auto-tune, it's gonna set how fast that it's going to correct the note. Since this is a vocoder, it's already going to be kind of more of a synth sound and more of a digital sound. So for this, it's probably faster retune speeds probably sound better. And then we also have the humanize knob, which works just like auto-tune, where it's going to tell the retune speed to relax a little bit on sustained notes so they sound a little bit more natural if you want them to, right? So anyways, I got this track here, and so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of work on this track while showing you how the different settings work. So I'll hit play here, and then you can kind of hear why I might want to add some digital stuff in the background.
I love when you whine it, but you're more than just a dancer to me. I ask all the questions to your body and they answer to me. Whine it, babe, no babe, hold you close, love. Whine it, babe, love your frame, hold you close, love.
Okay, right, we got some cool like little EDM action, some cool like Latin vibes in there. We can tell there's auto-tune on the lead vocals, so there might be some things that we might want to do here. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you a couple different options. So to start out with here, we'll start with the signal options. And by that, I mean what is going to trigger Vocodist. So let me close out of this and open it again, because when you open it, it gives you some options here. Okay, welcome to Auto-Tune Vocodist. Would you like a walkthrough And if you click yes here, gives you some options. So we could do, we can control it with an internal synth that's kind of like a traditional vocoder. So what I mean by that is we could actually have, you know, some MIDI chords playing as the vocals playing, so then it follows chord progression. This right here will work with your voice. So we're actually gonna start with this one, but it's just gonna, whatever the vocal, you slap this on a vocal, it's just gonna follow along with that. And then the other one that's kind of cool here that I'll show you towards the end here is you can use a sidechain input to control it. So like we can use another instrument like a drum or a synth or something to control what it's doing. So first off, we're just gonna go ahead and on this one we'll just start with voice. It's gonna give you a whole walkthrough and stuff like that. But yeah, so we got this. So I'll hit play. So we hear that we got a pretty, you know, vocoder sound right there. So we got this little action over here like we see on other vocoders here. We can choose how many bands. We can have more or less. The less that we have, it's going to sound more like a vintage vocoder. And the more that we have, it's going to have a little more clarity. We can change the little cue shapes here. So let me go a little less just so it's not so overwhelming. But you see as I increase the cue shape here, we are actually, well, we're changing the cue here. And we also have these other options here too where we can change the slope options, which kind of does give a different sound. So let me increase the bands again because I think you'll be able to hear better what some of these slopes do. Right, and then we also have our minimum and our maximum hertz, so we can basically just kind of choose where the signal splits start and end. And then we got a stretch and slide that's kind of like the formant tools that we're used to, so we can kind of stretch or move these down. So like anything when it comes to music or audio or mixing, everything that you're going to do is kind of blend to taste here. So then also here we got some models here that we can kind of change from to give you different tones. From my understanding, they went through and they kind of, I don't want to use the word mimic, but they emulated maybe some like vintage classic vocoders that we've grown to love over the years. So we have different styles here. So we just got like a couple different ones to choose from here. And something else that I think is kind of cool, you see we got these little play buttons here, and what this will do is it will kind of audition with some pink noise, and it's just gonna play some pink noise. So watch your ears when I hit play, just in case you got headphones on. It's gonna just be like a bunch of shh, right? So I'm gonna hit play, and then basically what it's gonna do is it's just gonna play this pink noise, and then we can kind of alter based on what we're hearing. So yeah, we can use that to kind of alter to figure out what we want it to sound like from there. And then, you know, after we're done hitting play, and we can actually hear what it sounds like on the vocal. Right. And we have that same option down here when it comes to our actual envelope here. So this right here is just going to work like a traditional vocoder here, where we can, you know, kind of change these bands and everything like that, which I'm a big fan of doing stuff like this because, you know, I can kind of take out some stuff that I don't want to be in there. Our attack and release here is just like a compressor, you know, when does it start, when does it end, you know. Right. Our fast attack, we can have a much sharper transients. And the slower we get, it smooths those transients out. Same with our release here. You know, we can choose when it's going to release. Right? Slower release times, it lasts longer. And then faster release times, it ends sooner, so we get a little bit choppier of a sound. So anyways, back to this. Like I was saying, you know, we can kind of use this to EQ things in or out. Right? So I may be like, okay, well, I don't like that frequency. So I can kind of use this area to smooth things out if there's some areas that I feel like are too muddy. So anyways, yeah, we can kind of get that to, you know, adjust to where we want it to be and stuff like that. Let me go ahead and show you a few other options here that I think are pretty cool here. So I've already kind of set some things up here, so then you don't have to watch me set them up. But one of the options here is we can actually set this as like a side chain here. So another instrument or source can control it. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm going to use to control this just for this example. So I got this guitar here. You see all my tracks are frozen here. The only reason why I do that is when I do the tutorials, I got so many things going on. I got a screen capture. I got something recording. I got the actual tutorial that I'm doing. It's just really intense on the computer. So anytime you see my tutorials, if you wonder why I have things frozen, I freeze the tracks I don't really need for the tutorials just so it's a lot less. Anyways, with that out of the way here, I'm gonna hit play. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and use that as a source to trigger this Vocodist plugin. So got my little key input up here, and I chose for it to be my guitar sidechain, right? And then you just come down here, right? So this little synth option right here gives us some different options to be able to work with, right? We have oscillator here where we can do the voice, the MIDI, which I'll show you in a little bit, or we can even do key, which I'll show you that in a little bit as well. But for this right here, we'll switch source from oscillator, which would be, you know, our actual source that's on the track. We'll switch that to be sidechain, and now that's going to, the guitar is now going to control it. So remember what that guitar sounded like, and I'm gonna hit play on this. Right, it's the same rhythm as the guitar, but it's the actual voice that's working with it. I can put the original signal of the voice in here. If I go over, there's this little area over here, output effects, which we'll get in towards the end, but voice mix. Anyways, that's kind of cool. There might be some uses where you want, you know, to be able to have like a synth, or drums might even sound cool because you could give it like a really rhythmic pattern here. All right, so then the other option here is we can actually control this with some chords here, right? So again, you know, synth, oscillator down here, MIDI. You can also, if you don't want to deal with that over here, you can do, you know, this little window right here. When you first open it up here, you can just choose what you want it to start with. So we got MIDI here, and so now the MIDI is going to control it. So I got some chords right here that I played here to just follow the same chord progression that the guitar is doing. So if I go ahead and hit play, you'll see that this has a different sound because it's going to actually be switched based on the chords. Right, so I have that actually following the chord progression. That's like a really traditional thing that you would do with a vocoder. And two, also another thing, just like a original vocoder, what you could do is you could do this live. If you wanted to actually sit down and perform, you could, play the chords as you're singing along with it. You can do that too. This allows for the live performance part of it as well. All right, and then kind of the last option that I want to show you here is we can do key right here, so it can kind of be just like a drone sound where it just plays constantly the same tone and sound. This particular song right here is in F minor, so I'll just set the drone to be the note F. So, right, it's just going to be a drone all the way through. I could choose C, so I could choose the dominant of this key. If I go back to F here, I wanted to show you other options too, because you may be like, okay, well, that keyboard's really limited. We only have an octave here to play with. Well, we have this little octave knob here, so then we can, adjust. So if I go down or up, it will transpose it. Right, so we do have the option there. Anyways, if I go back to MIDI here, because this is the track I was working with here, was the MIDI controlled one. I'll just kind of show you what that sounds like in the mix.
I love when you whine it, but you're more than just a dancer to me. I ask all the questions to your body and they answer to me. Whine it, babe, no babe, hold you close, love. Whine it, babe, love your frame, hold you close, love.
Right, it might kind of sound cool. For this particular track, I would probably not have it in the beginning.
I love when you whine.
Right, I'd probably, for this track, I would just have it here at the end when he has a little bit more space in his vocals.
Whine it, babe, no afraid, hold you close, love. Whine it, babe, love your frame, hold you close, love.
Right, just to kind of give it in and out here. And you can see, too, what I'm using Vocodist for on this particular song is not so much for a lead or an outro or an intro. You could totally use that, and I'm sure there's going to be cases where I definitely will be using it for that. But on this one, I'm kind of using it for more of a background sense to kind of layer things in more and to kind of give things more textures and stuff. So I'm almost using this more as a production thing. And speaking of which, you could definitely use this on other instruments too, like synths or pianos. I've even seen drums and stuff. You can give it a really cool computerized drum sound, which will, sound really cool as well. All right, staying on the MIDI version for a moment here, as I do have options for to have different voices and stuff, so it just kind of sounds like more, more like a crowd. So if I have it at 1, right, versus 8, kind of gives more of like a sound or a wider, more, it gives more of a layered stack sound there. Okay, so last here, let's just kind of dive into some of these output effects over here. So we got this whole little area here. We have this X pad, which if you've used the auto-tune effects plugin at all, it's gonna work a lot like that when we got these little presets and stuff set on in here, right? We can kind of have our XY pad just like we would use in any plugin, more tube, more compression, more drive, whatever the XY or whatever these controls are set to, it kind of gives you the ability to do that. And as you can see here, it gives us all the little options that we want to be able to do with our X and our Y here. So then we can kind of, move things. And as I move this around, you can see that whatever we have stuff set to, right, it's going to adjust those parameters, right? So we can see that over here as I move it. So just like a typical XY pad, nothing to overthink or anything like that. All right, so then we have our voice envelope over here. So it's just going to be the amount of amplitude given with the voice. Spread right here will work again if you have this on a stereo source instead of a mono source, just like it would in the Harmony Engine or any other plugins that have a spread option. It's just gonna spread out the stereo field. And I do like that right there. I think that sounds cool. Warmth right here, this is really cool. This kind of gives us a tube style saturation right here. which that kind of reminds me, I probably should go back here. We do have a compressor here. This is not the output, but we can kind of compress it a little bit more or less. So if we want to be able to have a thicker sound or something like that, we can definitely do that. Anyways, let's go back to this little output effects here. This, again, it's kind of more like the master control here. Let's see, we got the voice mix, so that's just going to take the original vocal that's in here, right? So the actual vocal that I have right here before I add Vocodist is going to have that, so then we can blend that in. Right, so I can put that in. This arrow right here is going to work with that, and I'll get to that in just a moment here. But let's go ahead and first start with the chorus. In fact, we have a couple ones to choose from, 1, 2, and 3. It just gives us some different chorus sounds, so you can get a really classic vocoder sound this way, because chorus effects are found on a lot of vocoders. All right, and so now what this arrow is doing is if we did want to blend in the voice mix here, we can also use the arrow to add the vocal source here to also have the chorus effect. We have our voice mod right here. I think it will give kind of more of a synth effect, from what I believe. But let's try it and see. Yeah, so basically it's just a ring mod that allows us to add more or less of a synth sound to just kind of simplify what it's doing here. But yeah, this is the Vocodist plugin right here. I think it's really dope. But again, I work with a lot of music that this would be useful, so that's why I find it dope. I feel like there's a lot of creative possibilities I'm going to be able to do with this. I was already a big fan of, auto-tune. I'm sure a lot of you've seen my tutorials. A lot of people have bashed on me for using auto-tune over the years, but whatever. It's the sound of the industry. So I use that a lot. I use the Harmony Engine a lot. That's also by Antares, which I think is a really dope plugin. And there's also other vocoder plugins that I've used over the years. The iZotope Vocal Synth one, which I thought was pretty dope. I feel like this is kind of more of a beefed up version of that. And then also, for a while, I was using the one that was inside of Reason. So for me, I was already using vocoders, and I was already a big fan of vocoders. So this right here is just kind of right in my bag to be able to use. And so I personally think that I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. Unfortunately, right now, the only way to get this, and I hope that they change it, is if you have a subscription to the Auto-Tune Unlimited package, which means you get every single one of Antares plugins. So like you get like the Harmony Engine, you get effects, you get every version of Auto-Tune. So you get like Auto-Tune Pro, Auto-Tune Artist, Auto-Tune Live, all that. And then you get all their other little plugins too, like their little amplitude, and they got a compressor and a de-esser and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you don't have any of the auto-tune plugins in general and you're just trying to get them, the subscription service is pretty cool. But if you already have everything, it would be nice if they would allow you to purchase this as a standalone. So I'm hoping eventually they're going to do that, because I think the demand is going to be there. And so I think that eventually they will, because otherwise they'll just be kind of losing out on some money if they don't have the option to just buy this by itself. Because I do feel like this is a plugin that if you just buy it outright, I feel like a lot of people would. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the Vocodist plugin, if you're going to get use out of it or not. Again, like I said before, if you're a purist, quote unquote, and you don't use any digital stuff like auto-tune and vocoder, why did you watch the full video? Why did you make it this far? You don't need to comment, because it's weird that you even made it this far. But if you do use a lot of stuff like this, let me know down below if you're going to use it, how you would use it, what you're most excited about it. I'm interested to see what everybody else thinks about it as well. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel right here so you can stay up to date with our latest videos on mixing, mastering, and production. And you can also check out some of our suggested videos here, and here. And of course, if you're looking for premium loops and samples, we got the best on the market. You can check out soundoracle.net. We got plenty to choose from.